Okay, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and to chat
So
with you.
I know, me too. I'm so happy to have you here. And oh my gosh, it's just been such a fun way that we got to know each other. And first of all, for all of you listening and that you can't see the video, I mean, Katrina is stunning. And she has a new baby, and she still manages to make it all look so beautiful and easy. And I just can't wait for my audience to hear all about your journey with that. But before we get started, what I always like to do is ask, what is your favorite thing that you can't live without right now?
It's definitely fresh flowers. You can see I have flowers
Oh,
here for those who can see the video. But yeah, I love fresh flowers. I love buying them. I love putting them in my home. I love changing the water. and
that's weird,
yeah, it's my
but
yeah,
good.
and it's funny because science shows that flowers actually improve our well-being and they make us happier. So it's no wonder that I love flowers because I feel like I am always looking for like little things to add beauty and happiness into my life.
And that's what my entire podcast is about. You may not know that, but it's about acing your life. It's about what can I do today in 5 minutes that will make me feel fabulous. And it doesn't have it can be just like you said, go to Trader Joe's and buy a dozen of anything and put them in a pot. And wow, all of a sudden your whole day is elevated. And every time you look at that, it makes you feel special. Or going for a walk in nature, or, listening to your favorite song with the windows down. It can be anything. But I love that that's your favorite thing right now because that's such an easy way to elevate right now, you know?
Yes, I love that. Everything you're saying, I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Love
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah. And I want to hear, okay, so you have such a great story. So I want you just to go for it and tell everybody all about you and how you started out and where you are now and what you've got going on. So just lay it on me.
Yeah. And I want to also just acknowledge something that you said earlier about how like I have a newborn. Well, I have a 7-month-old.
Well, that's
And
new.
yeah. And and I look put together and all of this. And I just want to say that um for moms, for new moms who are out there and they're struggling, like this, if you look at someone's life, right, you only see like bits and pieces of it.
Mhm.
And you don't see that, like in the morning, I have a 5.5-year-old and a 4-year-old, and they're like sitting on the bed with the baby, reading her a book. And
Aw.
I'm like getting ready, and my husband's downstairs, like getting their lunch together.
Yeah.
Like I have a family and we're a team,
Oh,
and that's really important. And so for moms out there who are like struggling or who are like, oh my
mm,
goodness, like I can barely, throw my hair in a bun in the morning. It's like find ways to ask for help, to
yes.
get support from your family. Like it doesn't have to just all be on you. Um,
I love
so I
that.
just wanted to say that out and put that out there.
Mhm.
And because I do feel very blessed to have that support system,
Mhm.
and not feel guilty like that. My husband owns a law firm and he makes the kids lunch in the morning. Like he can do that. We can support each other,
Yeah, it's a
and then I
team.
take the kids to school, right? And
Right.
he goes to work. And so it's like we work together and we're a team, and that's really important.
And I love that you said that because I feel like a lot of women, especially I'm from the South, where a lot of women think that that's my job. Like I need to do it all and I can't ask my husband for help because he goes out and earns the big paycheck. And a lot of women who are my listeners don't work outside the home. And so they feel like, oh my gosh, this is my job and I just have to wear myself into the ground and not ask for help because, I mean, let's be clear, there's a little martyr in there. At least there was in my case. So I love that you say that because why? I mean, we're in the year 2022. Like it is time to ask for help when you need it and not feel guilty about it. And also, it's just, they're half the team, your husband. So sometimes they feel left out. Like I remember my husband would be like, I can go pick them up every once in a while. I can help you make a lunch. Or even better, they can make their own lunch. I figured that one out way too late. But I think it's just so important for everybody to understand that that's okay. It's okay to ask for help. In fact, it's necessary for your well-being, for your mental happiness, all that kind of good stuff. So I love that you brought that up because you do look beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
So anyway, tell us about your old life and then your new life and how you figured all that out.
Yeah. So I became an attorney about 10 years ago. Actually, yeah, I graduated in 2012, passed the bar, and started working December of 2012. And I did really well. Like, despite maybe some obstacles and things in life, I really excelled in law school, and I was one of the few that like had a really amazing job lined up. Like right when I graduated, I was making over six figures as this little, however old I was at the time. But
Infant. Baby.
and it's like I worked hard. I did good. I really was doing very well in my career. And I started to like lead our firm's women's retreat and take on leadership roles in my area of law. And then I got, I got pregnant with my daughter, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Like, I love being a mom, and I want to be partner one day, and I'm going to make it work. Like, I'm going
Mhm.
to make this all work. And around 10 months, my daughter was 10 months old, I got pregnant with my son.
Woo.
And it was
That was
like,
quick.
okay, we're going to do this. Like,
Yeah.
the optimistic
Yeah.
me. And what ended up happening was I felt all of this pressure from everywhere in my life. And so,
Mhm.
my firm at the time was like, Katrina, we're not seeing you perform where we want you to be at. Like, we might have to look for a replacement if we don't see some improvement. And then it's like my in-laws had moved in. We just bought this house. Like, literally, we created this life together. And I was like, I don't know if I want it anymore. Like, I have all the boxes checked, like career, family, beautiful home, like beautiful family, like all the things that we want in life. Right. But inside, I was like so stressed, so much anxiety. I got to a point when I was pregnant where I would like cry myself to sleep every night. I
Oh.
felt like I was being suffocated. I couldn't breathe. I was having like physical manifestations from all the stress and pressure. And so finally I told my husband, like, let's just sell the house and like move away. And this was like before COVID when people were doing this.
Yeah.
I was like, let's just like start
You're a
over. Like,
trailblazer.
I want like take two. Like,
Yeah.
I want out.
Yeah.
And, at the time my husband was like, we just bought this house. Like, let's just like, let's see what happens. Like,
Right.
give it a few more months. And it kind of made sense to me because in my life, I had gone through cycles of this stress, right? Where it's like periods of stress, anxiety, and then it goes away. And then periods
Yeah.
of stress and anxiety, and it goes away. And I also suffered from depression my whole life, but I was able to just have this like optimism and do things in life. So I was able to like get out of bed and make things happen, even though inside I was like suffering a lot of the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And so I thought, this is just going to pass. This is just like, it's going to pass. And it never did. I had my son, still felt all the same. And finally I told my doctor, I was like, I don't feel good. Like, I have anxiety, and I think I need help. And he was like, okay, well, you can, see a psychologist or psychiatrist, or you can go see Corey. And I was like, who's Corey? And he's like, he's a hypnotherapist. I see him, like my family sees him, like he's amazing. Go see Corey. And he like circles his name. And so I go see Corey, and my life completely changed. We did a lot of subconscious work to heal some past traumas. And he opened my eyes to a completely different way of living life, which is that we are programmed to believe and to live out that life is a struggle, that life has to be hard, that life has to be like stressful,
Mm-hmm.
and that it really isn't true. It's our perspective, it's how we look at things.
Mm-hmm.
And it just and like part of me was just like, that makes sense. Like there's some truth to that. Even though I wasn't like 100% in, I was like, there's some truth to there. I'm open to that. And I mentioned earlier, I've always had this like optimism in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really resonated with me. Like, yeah, I can get behind that. And so I continue to do this inner work of just like shifting the way I looked at things, shifting my mindset, doing this healing, learning how to meditate. And my life completely changed. And I once feared going back to work. And then I actually got excited. Like my first day back, I was like, okay, like we're going to do this. And I went in and I talked to the managing partner and I was like, I'm so excited to be back. Like it's going to be amazing. Like, let's do this. And everyone was like, oh my gosh, like you've changed so much. Like this is great. And I really just kind of like dived in, but I was really fortunate to come back to like a part-time schedule and really learn how to like communicate with my bosses better, and just like everything on the outside was basically the same, like same job, same family, same house, same in-laws, like everything was the same, but I had changed. And so everything was different. It was completely different. And I started to thrive at work. I started to thrive in my relationships. My husband and I were more connected. Like I would just so many beautiful blessings came out of that.
Mm.
And I started to make it work. And then I was like, oh, now I can work a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit
Mm.
more. And I ended up getting back up to like 85% at some point. And I was loving it though. I was like, I would come home and I would turn off work and I would be with my kids and I would just like have so much fun with them. And I would have fun with my friends, fun with my husband. Like I was just having fun
Yeah.
all the time. And I was like, there's a part of me that wants to share what I've learned with other women. But at that time, and this was like 5 years ago, I'm like, I'm not ready. Like, I don't think I can do that. Like, I don't know, a lot of imposter syndrome that I was
Mm-hmm.
experiencing. And so I worked at that firm for about 18 months and then COVID hit. And during the summer of COVID, for about 3 weeks, I started to meditate and visualize and really get into the feelings of like, what would it be like to have time freedom? Because I had learned a lot about manifestation from Corey and from other books and other teachers. And so I got really good at manifesting. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, let me try this with time freedom, with just like having the ability to do whatever I want. I didn't know exactly what that was yet. I had that like vision of maybe helping other women like way down the road. But so I did that for about 3 weeks. And then I get a email from HR that they want to meet with me. And they have a conversation that they're letting me go. And I was like, wow, like I have been meditating and visualizing this for 3 weeks and I didn't tell them.
Yeah. They didn't
And
know
I
that.
was and I just felt this like incredible peace like
Oh,
all around me, and I knew that it was divinely, inspired, and that it was exactly what needed to happen.
can I stop you right there really quick?
Yes.
What exactly does that look like when you say I'm manifesting? I was taking 3 weeks to really zone in on what I wanted because you said you're a really good manifester. For my audience, tell them what that looked like in tactical terms because we all want to hear that.
Yeah. So one thing I did was I would write out like my vision for my life in the form of a prayer, but I would pray as though it already happened. So
Mm,
I would say, God, thank you so much for, me being healthy. And, I, at that point, at that time in my life, it was like, I wanted to be like slim and strong and all of these different things. So I would kind of paint the picture of what I wanted myself to look, my life to look. And I talked about, you know, things that we had paid off financially, amount we had saved, um, investments that we had. So like I had painted this picture, and then part of it was like I wake up and I, go for a walk, and I'm with my children in the morning, and um just kind of describing how I wanted my day in this
Mhm.
prayer. And then I would spend like 5 or 10 minutes just like meditating on that and really getting into the feelings,
The
like what
feelings.
it would
Yeah.
feel like. So
Mhm.
I would feel like, oh my gosh, I have so much freedom. I feel so much expansion. I feel so much abundance and all of those feelings. And I would really just feel them. And it's not like it would be an all day thing where I'm just like sitting meditating. Like I would just get into the feelings. And then I would go into my life, and I loved what I was doing. Like
Yeah.
I truly loved being an attorney again. And I loved, just the whole thing. It's like falling in love with life again, with your life again, no matter what it looked like and how you looked at it before. You can
Mhm.
truly look for the goodness in every area of your life. And so I did that. And then, yeah, it's just like, boom, it happened. It came, and it wasn't how I expected, right? We're manifesting. We're like, but I really want this thing, and I want it to look this way and be
Yeah.
this color and this shape.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, and it doesn't look the way we think it's going to look. It's actually, you know, so much better.
Yeah,
Um,
better.
and,
Exactly. Yeah.
and yeah. And so, and we made it work. And, I at the time I was learning how to trade stocks. So I thought like that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to trade stocks, and I had like 6 monitors all set up,
Oh,
and I
geez.
was like I would wake up at 6, I would meditate, then I would like check the market at 6:30, and then like go sit on my computer and like do some trades, and then I would go with the kids and like take them to school and all of that. And then I realized that I was like replacing one 9 to 5 with another. And I know that there
Uh-huh.
are so many stock traders out there who don't need to sit at the computer all day. They can just
Yeah.
like take a peek, and they're so confident, and all of that. And I just wasn't there yet. And I ended up getting introduced to Beauty Counter by a friend. And the reason I bring it up is because that getting involved with Beauty Counter, well, first of all, I love the brand, but I'm not a
I do.
consultant anymore. But when I became a consultant for a short period of time, it showed me that there's this whole online world,
Mm.
and that people are helping other people online. And
Yeah.
I was getting help from people online. And I was like, well, maybe I can, share my message now that I finally
Yeah.
have wanted to share all these years. And so it really just like kickstarted what I thought was going to be like 5 years down the road to like now in that
Wow.
moment. And then I got introduced to someone from my stock class. So my stock class, aside from learning how to trade stocks, it was all about mindset. He always says like just trading stocks is like maybe 5% how to do, 95% how to think. And so I read all these books about like manifestation and the power of our thoughts,
Yeah.
and really just like the mindset work. So I had this like training from Corey, which was very spiritual, very healing, very just this beautiful um way to look at life. And then I had this very like mindset approach, and I like combined all of that learning. And then I was like, I want to create something to help other women. And so someone from my stock class actually told me about my coach, our coach, Kathy
Yeah.
Heller.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like I want to do that course that you're telling me about. And so I signed up for her course and put myself out there and started to share my offers, and the rest is kind of history. And that was a year and a half ago. And so it's interesting as I share this, because it's like I went through that really dark period. And
Mhm.
then it was like a year and a half of like just thriving as an attorney and as a mom. And then now it's like a year and a half of me doing this work as an entrepreneur and going through that journey. And then there was a little bit of time in between where I was kind of figuring it out. Um, but yeah, it's really exciting to just see how it all has unfolded in such a beautiful way. And it's way more, and then in the middle of that, um, through this mindset work, like when I signed up for Kathy's course, I was talking to my husband a lot about what I was learning because I had learned it from Corey, but when you hear it from different teachers, it hits a different way and it's just like
Mhm.
another layer. And so I was sharing a lot with him. And I was like, what if you started your own law firm? And he was like, no way. I'm so happy. Like, I make good money. Like, why would I ever leave?
Yeah.
And then it was like a few months later, what if I open my own firm? And I was like, yes. And then, we
What
worked
I
through
said.
all of that and he opened up his own firm. And that's just opened up so much abundance in our lives. And it's been amazing. And
Oh,
so it's just like literally the life that I'm living now. Just 5 years ago, I was like dreaming of and never thought it would, like, never knew like how it would happen. And I didn't really know that it was possible until I started to do this work and realize, like, yeah, actually anything is possible. Like, it's all possible.
yeah. And I love that, like you said, it's like you were manifesting this, but the way that you manifested and thought of it in your mind is not how it came to fruition. But it didn't matter because it was even better. Like you would have never said, "Oh, I want them to fire me so that I can be doing this on my own." No, that's not how you would have planned for it to go. But it ended up it always ends up being so much better than we expect when it's, for the greater good of everything. So, oh, what a great story.
Yeah, and you know what? It truly is. It's faith. It's faith.
Yes.
It's having faith that, like, I know it's going to work out. And in the moment, right? We have our doubts and we have our fears. And as we continue to do this work and we see the evidence in our lives that we are manifestors, we are co-creating our lives, and
Hmm.
that our thoughts do create things, and our feelings create things,
Yeah.
that we develop that faith. And so when things come up that may seem like, obstacles or challenges or things that we don't want, we can learn to look at it completely differently
Yeah.
because we have that faith that we've developed over time. And so that's the beauty of this work, is that the more that you do it, the more you're going to develop that faith. And then you're going to have things that happen. You're just like, okay, God, what do you got in store for me? Like, what magical, beautiful thing are you going to bring out of this? Because I know that's what's coming. I know it's something incredible and magical.
I love that. Yeah. And it's great because you start to look at obstacles completely differently. Like I used to, before I started all this work, I would look at something that bad would happen in our lives, or if, something happened and I would say, ugh, of course this happened because this kind of thing always happens because everything was so good and now something bad's going to happen. Whereas now, if something bad happens, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. What are we trying to, what kind of detour is this taking me on? And what kind of magical, I love the book, The Magic. I read it. We've read it with our book club. I have a little self-help book club that I started like a year ago and I'm obsessed with it. And it's like 15 of us and we meet for coffee every Thursday and
Oh,
we
I
read a
love
book.
that.
It's so fun. And again, I had always wanted to do this. I've always wanted to start a book club my whole life. And I was just chicken and I just didn't do it. And I thought, well, nobody's going to want to be in it. And now I've got people like in Dallas texting me saying, "Hey, can I be in the book?" I'm like, hell yeah. Anyway, but the point is that in the magic, she says, magical outcome, ask for a magical outcome today. So, like, you wake up in the morning and you say, okay, God, universe, angels, spirit guides, whatever you believe in, what will be my magical outcome for this particular situation that's happening? And I actually had this happen yesterday because I'm a realtor and my husband and I did this giant, wonderful project and it's awesome and it's beautiful. And it's also, the market has changed a little bit. It's not as hot as it was. So we're a little stressed about it. It's not an easy thing to just put all your heart and soul into this giant project and then put it out to the world and just pray somebody loves it. So I asked for a magical outcome yesterday. And I just got a call right before this that we're getting an offer on the house, which we were like,
Amazing.
now that doesn't always happen. And I don't even know if it's going to happen, but just that little bit of faith is amazing because it really does get you through the not so easy times, like when your kid has COVID and your husband has shingles and you know,
Yes.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you just kind of
Yeah.
have to have like, okay, what is this trying to tell me? Illness. Like let's say, like my son has COVID right now. Well, what is this trying to tell me? Do we need to slow down? Does he need to slow down? Did he catch this because he was just running on all cylinders and, maybe he needs to take a step back and not be doing two sports right now. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that you can look at instead of getting all pissed off and saying, well, of course he got COVID. Now we're all going to get COVID, just a
Yeah.
different way
Yeah.
of looking at the world.
Yeah, we were just traveling in May and June, and we did like back-to-back trips. So we were like gone for a week, home for a week, gone for a week, and then home for a week. And so in between vacation 1 and 2, we got the stomach flu. And so like the kids, so like cancel all my meetings, all my
Mhm.
clients, like 1 week with the kids. Then we're on vacation. Beautiful. Then we come back, COVID,
Yeah.
cancel everything again. And I was just like, okay, and one thing that was so clear to me was that, and I feel like this was like our lesson from that,
Uh-huh.
was that we work really well as a team. That when things get hard, when, mommy's sick or someone's sick, like we take care of each other. And
Oh.
it was just such a beautiful like realization to see that like unfold for, my little kids. Like I have, a 6-year-old and a 5 or almost 6 years old and 4-year old and the baby. And it was just like beautiful to see us all just like working together
Figuring
and
it
just,
out. Yeah.
figuring it out and just all the love that's there and just feeling that. Yeah, it was beautiful.
I love that. And my kids are exactly those ages apart. I had a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, a newborn or a new baby. And now
Oh
it's
my
so
gosh.
beautiful. Like I just have to tell you, it gets so great because now I've got one's a senior in college, one's a freshman in college, and one's in high school, freshman in high school. And it's a whole new chapter of their relation to each other. It's like the way they talk to each other. And now they talk to each other without me being around. Like they're texting each other and, hey, good job with that. And I saw you did this. And it's just so beautiful to see the transition of how they grow up and it's a really cool thing. So hang in there. It gets a lot easier. You're going to sleep at some point. But anyway, well, that's so awesome. Well, why don't you tell everybody what you've got going on? You were telling me about your retreat. So I know we want to all hear about that. So,
Yes, so I have a retreat that's coming up. It's called Elevate, actually. So I love the whole conversation at the beginning of this. But really I love working with working moms, with women who either are working in the home or outside of the home, but just feeling that overwhelm, that stress, balancing all of the things, taking care of everyone,
mm-hmm.
and really just providing a place for them to to release that story that we all were talking about at the beginning, right? That like
Mm-hmm.
life has to be a struggle and has to be really hard. And like, how can we shift our perspective on things and
Yep.
to really get into this flow of life and let it be easy? Like, that's my saying all the time. When I come up against something and I get triggered or I get upset or I start to feel overwhelmed, it's like, let it be easy. Just like, let it be
Yes.
easy. How can I let it be easy? And
Yeah.
sometimes that means, like going to Starbucks in the morning and getting everyone breakfast because I didn't have time to
Yeah.
like put it together. And it's like, whatever, get Chick-fil-A for dinner. And it's just like, okay, just
Everybody
like,
gets fed.
yeah,
It's all
let
that
it be
matters.
easy,
Yeah.
and not put so much pressure for everything to like be perfect and all of that. And
Yeah.
also, um, so that's kind of like part one is just getting to that place of like, how can we manifest more ease in our lives and create more ease in our lives and learning different tools and modalities to experience more peace and calm and wholeness in our life. And
Mm,
then for a lot of my clients, they are either, entrepreneurs or career women and just helping them really elevate their mindset around what's possible in business or in their career, and really just creating a life that is abundant and full. And it's so exciting to work with my clients. And so I do also work with clients one on one, but I'm excited to do something in person at this retreat that's happening on Saturday
Oh
in
my
Orange
gosh, I wish I
County.
could go. I know we'll put it in the show notes. Have you already, is it booked? Is it full or
Yeah,
do
I
you
think
still have
there's
space?
one spot left.
Oh, okay. Well,
But
when this comes out, it'll be after.
yeah.
So we'll have
But
to,
yeah,
yeah.
but people can follow me on Instagram, and I'm pretty active there. And I also have a membership where we meet once a month to kind of talk about these things, and we do breath work, which is another beautiful
Oh,
way to like release and heal and all of that. So lots of different ways to kind of get to know me a little bit more and see what the work that I'm doing.
oh, I love that. Okay, well, we're going to put everything in the show notes. And so everyone can get in touch with you if they need to. And this was just such a great conversation. I'm so glad we got to do it. And your story is beautiful. And I think it's inspirational to all of my listeners because I've got women who are working full time, women who are part time, women who are stay at home. But the message is the same. And the message
Yes.
is slow down and put yourself on the to-do list. And please just, take 5 minutes out of the day and do something for yourself that's just for you, that makes you feel good and don't feel guilty about it. And I mean, that's kind of what the whole podcast is about. It's just finding those little pockets of joy all day long. And also, I don't know, all the stuff we talked about. I mean, I just think you're so inspirational. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so fun to talk with you. You're so much fun, and I love
Oh,
your energy, and yeah, it's so much fun to talk with you.
thank you. All right. Well, have a beautiful day.
Thank you. You
Okay.
too.